Bye. Let's give Matt a big round of applause. Acceptance. What expectations are you putting on your spouse that aren't yours to put on? What conditions do you put on your spouse? A bunch of you didn't use that. We took Gary Chapman's love language test. It is in your book. You got no excuse. Each of you need to create a frustration. If I'm trying to speak to somebody in Japan and they're speaking to Cassie in ways that uses her love language, not mine, it changes. But I'm going to do it. Because I want to speak in her language. And I'll kind of get on to you a little bit because I had a lot of hands not go up. I said this last week. We're going to give you a toolbox. And we're going to give you tools that will absolutely help your marriage. But a hammer that sits on a workbench doesn't do any good, does it? And so we want to give you tools and we want you to use them because this is what I guarantee you. If you use the principles in this book, your marriage will get better. Your marriage going into my marriage. And one of those is frustrations, acceptance. One of them is companionship. I want to explain it. This is intimacy. It's two hearts intertwined, right? It's two hearts meshed together. And the reason 95% of those things do not end up well. You can fill it with work. You can fill it with, this is probably one of the bigger frustrations. Because you have an expectation that we're gonna stay in intimacy our whole life. And it's so cute because when we were dating, we spoke on the phone for hours and hours, and we could just laid in bed and dreamed about cry at night. And they want to be fed at night. And you think, man, when I finally get past that stage, we can get back. Yeah, right. Y'all barely even want to talk. You just want to lay down and go to bed. But it'll get better when they get older and get into, then you start arguing a little bit, and that space just over time begins to drift. And then if your kids, you crisscross at breakfast on occasion. And intimacy just gets further and further and further. Of this world will come in and it will destroy a relationship. So the goal is companionship, to stay within intimacy. So we ask the question, where is your intimacy broken? And this is gut check time, right? Can on your date night start talking about this stuff, right? Where are we broken in intimacy? How many of you went on a date night? Especially in counseling, when I do these classes, I'll talk to people. Week 3, all of a sudden, it's like, man, our schedule just caught up to us, and we were gonna. And then the excuses start to roll in, right? The excuses, well, we had kids, and they had practice, and, cow fell in the well, whatever it is. Talking, and you're not having sex, and you don't really know what each other's doing. But you don't have time for date night, right? So you see, that's where the danger of that companionship. So where's intimacy broken in your marriage? And then, what steps can I take? Not what does my wife need to do. This is not my wife's job. It's my job. If she had intimacy, what can I look at my schedule, right? Because here's the crazy thing. We all have the same amount of hours in the day. Because your marriage is up to you. And so what can you do to bring intimacy back? When I look at my schedule, I'm like, where can I carve out? Me and Cassie were having this discussion this week. And we're gonna take a lunch one day. But man, we're gonna talk about kids later, but kids are not the center of your home. And then the last two people come in, well, they always work. They always work. They're always at school, always working. They're always trying to achieve something because success, you want to feel like it's a success. The reason you run as a parent, ultimately it comes down to success. Well, success is kind of the cheer-o travel ball team. There's probably a great chance he'll never go to college. And if he doesn't go to college, he's going to become a drug addict, homeless on the streets, and he'll never be a success. And so I'm going to sacrifice my marriage over here because I'm going to be a helicopter parent. Hobby time, or you may have a successful job time, or you may have successful other things, but what you'll find is a massive frustration in your marriage because your marriage will not be perceived as a success to you. So it creates tension. So what steps, if you never fight, you're going to be on my couch sooner than those that do, though, just so you know. That's not healthy either. Of success in a marriage. A loving, God-filled marriage. There you go. A loving, God-filled marriage. That's a level of success. And so if y'all are fighting, right, and it doesn't feel like what you feel like you're failing at. And this is where it all goes back. See, this isn't psychobabble. This is temperatures are rising and our voice rises, right, because she can't hear me. And if she could hear me, then everything would change. House right now. So ultimately, I'm really mad at not meeting my own expectation, and I'm taking it out. Being super spouse and super parent is not the goal. Being fully devoted to following Christ is the goal. You will never, some of y'all need to write this down. You will never, ever, 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 ever beat, because it never stops. Your task list will never stop coming. You may beat it that day and you may go to bed, but you know what? Somewhere in the middle of the night, somebody wrote a bunch more things for tomorrow, didn't they? And for the next day, and for the next day, and for the next day. So one of the things you have to do, and we're going to talk about this, and so you've got to create an expectation, a realistic expectation of success. And then I have this statement: a negative mind will never give you a positive life. That is a huge statement, because the next frustration, I want to be attractable to others. And then I made you look in the mirror a little bit. Where have I become unlovable? Am I cranky? Am I negative? Am I always upset? Am I always frustrated? Am I always low? Have I just become negative? And then my question is, what steps can I take to change it? And we talked about something negative, do your spouse say two positives. Did anybody try that? Did y'all fight when that happened? Did it work? When you add positive to the house, when you add positive, it's hard to be angry when somebody's being positive. Man, I spent a lot of money in college to learn that one. You just lower your voice. It's hard for you to keep yelling at me if I lower my voice. It's hard for you to continue an argument in frustration when the other person, be positive. There's a little bit of twisted fun in that. Really negative people, I just, man, I can't stand my boss. Man, actually, I was talking to him the other day. Seemed like a really nice person. Oh, it torques him. I'm a little draw negative people. Be super positive, and you're going to change dynamics in your marriage. So there's so many of us that are trying to live up to a perceived expectation. They're still trying to find validation from a mother or a father or a coach or a grandparent who's not even. Something that what? That has a cost to go down that road. And there's many of people in here that have gone down that road, and we know the cost. We know it would be hard to replace. Somebody else give me a definition of valuable. Valuable. Somebody else give me a definition of valuable. More definition of valuable. Worth something. How many of you would say your marriage, and what makes, I'm not allowed to move off the carpet. What makes you, I got yelled at last week. How about words? So when we're talking to our spouse, and good times or bad, here's my a lot. And then I start asking that because the spouse typically goes, I value you. Do you know? Validation is huge. Are you validating your spouse? I am the lunch maker of my home. I make straight up. She does it wrong. And then my high school daughter wanted to help out one day, and she did it. And man, that was, this is at 6:30 in the morning, which I get up, I don't know. I've got it all laid out. I've got a system. I know who likes what sandwiches. I know who needs what drinks. I sleep in one morning, so she goes out there and she messes it up, right? Because there's wrong apples, so I can only give them cuties. And the other one, it goes on. The list goes on. But my wife went out there to do something special for me, right? And she messed it up. And so I walk out there, and I'm going to value my wife. You jack this up. Who puts water in her? She gets a Capri Sun towards me, and she's trying to validate me, and she's trying to speak my love language, acts of service. And then I walk in, and you know what I should have done? Zipped up those lunch boxes and been like, have a good day, kids. That's what I should have done, and been like, man, thanks, babe. And we'd have had a lot better day. But I devalued her with my words. What are some other things that we find value in as a person? So words of affirmation, right? What are some other things that you find value in? Where are you valuable in your home? How many ball coaches I got? I got a few, right? You're valuable to your kid. You're the biggest blooming idiot, worst baseball coach ever. Right? It hurts, right? Because you poured time in baseball, but maybe it's in something else. Maybe it's in the way you mow the grass. Maybe it's in the meal you cook. Take a bite of a meal and they say, man, how is it? Man, I've had better. Or let me give you my mom's recipe. I'm not allowed to say that anymore. We ain't the Beavers, I guess. I don't know. But part of this book, I don't think you have value. There are. And one of your greatest frustrations in your marriage is you don't think you have value. Type mentality of I'm never going to do anything right. I'm not ever going to be good enough. And so you stop. Then what I see of the world's values, I see Charlie here. He needs to be a successful business owner. His mind, I'm not valuable because I failed. And what'll start happening, and the frustration and the fighting that we're doing, again, is not anything our spouse did. It's what we're frustrated about ourselves. So how do I become a healthier me when it comes to value? I look at what true value is. Where do you find true definition of value? The definition of a mom is found in the Bible. The definition of a value is found in the Bible. God gives us His when you tell them they don't look good. When you tell them they're not pretty, when you tell them they're not handsome, when you tell them, hey, the Bible says we're beautifully and wonderfully made. And as a spouse, I need to accept my wife on the days that she dresses up and on the days that she realizes that my wife is beautifully and wonderfully made. She's precious. She's a princess. She's a child of the Most High God. And so this is what I want you to do, God's definition of me. I want you to go home this week and I want you to find in the Bible God's definition of you. Go find the verse that talks into that. And that's going to be difficult. I don't think I'm a good mom. Well, go look at what the Bible says is valuable about a mom. Well, I don't think I'm a good husband. I don't think I provide invaluable. I think you'll be shocked. The next big frustration is safety. I want to feel protected and secure. The number one cause of lack of safety is these words. And if you're just getting married, words that you should never, ever, 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 ever use in your marriage. I want a divorce. We're going to talk about this. We resort back to the way that we deal with fear, and that's fight or flight. For me, it's fight. And I can attack with words. I can do it really well. But one of the things, and my wife is okay with me telling you this, but because we've been through this class several times, and we teach this stuff, is one of her biggest fears is get out. Why don't you just leave? See, the first few years situation. And I don't mean physically, although that can be a safety. And so what you do is you chip away and you chip away and you chip away and you chip away at that safety. Guys will say that provider is their number one or number two expectation on that list. And so when money gets, ultimately what it is I'm frustrated at me because I'm not providing for my family like I should, and that leads to counseling. See, these are expectations that I have found as these issues. But safety is a huge thing. I want to feel protected and secure. Another area of safety is I don't want to have to think about my wife out screwing around on me. That's huge in safety. Knowing that even when I'm not around her, I'm not in a situation to fail her. So I create being whatever. I learned from Mike Pence and Billy Graham. They started it. Billy Graham never get in an elevator by himself with a female. He'd never be in a car. Mike Pence, same thing. He said, everybody blasted Mike Pence for it, but you know what Mike Pence has never had to do? Stand up in a microphone. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. He never had to stand in front of a microphone and apologize to the nation for messing around on his wife. He's never in a situation. I want to trust that when she says she's going to be somewhere, she's going to be somewhere. I want to trust, and this is probably one of the bigger ones that land people on a counseling couch, because we have an expectation of safety. We don't call it safety, but we don't. And then once those things start to happen, when you're on the computer and you find they've been looking at porn. I don't want to feel like my wife doesn't want me. That's a trust issue, which is our next one, trust. I want to have my spouse's job to make my home a safe home. It's my job. What can I do to make my spouse feel safe? That may be a tough question for you to answer. I may have to watch my verbiage. I may have to watch my boundaries. How do I change the environment? Because my wife's safety is my reason. I have faith in our relationship. Is there an area in your marriage right now that you don't have trust? Let's just answer that hard question. I'm not going to actually. You going out with your boys on Friday night? Staying out till 3, 4, feel like in your marriage that trust might have been broken. Maybe there's not. But there will be. At some point along. And we would always trust each other wholeheartedly. And there would never be jealousy, and there would never be a spouse. I said, lied. See, you didn't even get that far. But we all lied to our spouse. We do. We lie to our kids. Right? Well, maybe if you hadn't done it, you wouldn't have had the heartache to begin with. What are some areas of you? Here's the backside of safety. Here's the backside of validation. Here's the backside of love, success, companionship. Because if I could just get them to do right. But ultimately, it's on us, right? I would be shocked if you're sitting in here and you didn't have 6 of the 7 of these in your marriage at some point. You mess something up, your spouse is going to forgive you. But how many of you, and we're going to talk a lot about this, 2009? Sorry. 2019? But you're not really over it because now it's become your weapon. Well, you know what? But we bring up stuff, right? Why do we bring up stuff? Because we have a book. But when you talk about mental health, one of the biggest reasons that we suffer mental health issues is a lack of forgiveness. Did you know that? Psychologically, they never say that. Spiritually, that's what it is. And marriages suffer because we keep picking up rocks as our marriage keeps going, right? The rocks that we want to throw at our spouse. Let he who has not sinned cast the first. Me and Cassie have stayed up like 5, 6, 7 days, like wars and rumors of wars in our home. Don't let the sun come up as that situation. Here's why. Because if you don't ever forgive, if you just push it to the side, if you just put it on a shelf, if you just bury it under a carpet, you know what? It's continue to be a frustration, and it'll be an unmet expectation because I expect at some point for you to get over it. Right? The way we want Christ to forgive us. Why is it so hard to forgive our spouses? We can forgive our buddies. Frustrated, and when there's tension and when I'm in the heat of an argument, I need something to throw. I haven't forgiven you because it's right at the tip of my tongue. You know what unconditional forgiveness means? The same way you expect your spouse to forgive. Does that mean that you're not still going to be upset about it? No. You have to lay it down and say, for the betterment of our marriage, I'm going to swallow my pride. Because you know what unforgiveness is? It's pride. It's pride. I'm going to swallow my pride. And I realize maybe they hurt me. Maybe walking up a hill got spit on and got called a whole bunch of things. Well, you don't know what they did. I don't. You have to commit to forgiving unconditionally and not bringing it up again. And that's going to be one of the hardest things you do. Matthew 6:15, but if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive your sins. Just do something about it. You want to change your marriage? You want to make it healthier? It's on you. It's not on the person sitting next to you. We want to blame our job, or we want to blame COVID, or we want to blame a president, or we want to blame the economy. We want to blame everybody else, but it's nobody else's issue. Personal responsibility says, what am I going to do to alleviate these frustrations? And so if you are constantly going down this list and you're saying to create intimacy, what can I do to accept my spouse for who they are, regardless of whether I think them unconditionally for who they are? What can I do to change my definition of success so I'm not overbearing? So I have to figure out what is a healthy definition of success for my marriage. I speak in their language. I do things to better me. I have devotion in the morning with God, not to show my spirit. And so I get up earlier. I've altered my schedule. Validation. Area that you're valuable in. Because when you find your value in your marriage, you'll walk with your head up a little higher. You'll walk with a huge. Where can I create a safe environment for my marriage? Where have I broken trust and I need to rebuild that? And then where do I need? For some of you, you need to forgive something that happened a long time ago. For some of you, you need to forgive your parents. For some of you, you need to forgive an ex because you brought baggage into a relationship. That's my story. And I filtered everything, cast to make it happen. So here's your homework. Find a verse that correlates with each expectation. Each one of these, I want you to go and I want you to dig into God expectation. That's going to be huge for some of you. Because you have put an expectation. We couldn't live under the law. It crushes us. So there's oftentimes we can't live under the expectations of man. On all 7 of those frustrations, and then father and mother, I want you to find a verse that correlates with all 7 of those expectations. I need you to go on the days. I got to kind of Facebook stalk some of y'all. But you know what? Regularly right now. We've got some. How many of you would say you don't? I'm in that category. And you know, you signed a piece of paper at the very beginning of this book that says, I commit. I want you to commit to a date. Make it happen. If you miss date night number 1 this week, you're behind. You got to do 2 dates. See, you'll figure it out. Got time. Y'all are not going to like me. This is the one that nobody likes, and I put it kind of towards the beginning, but I gave you the why. Because the number 1 issue I counsel is frustrations, right? It's communication based around frustration. The number 1 stress, you will. Bills are tight. Lose a job. Lose the reason you fight about money. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, mine and my wife's relationship, I am a free spender. And this is what I can't do. I can't tell my kids no. Every gas station, they're like, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. No! It's going to cost me $15. But goofy vehicles, I don't go out and spend money. I bet you I spend 20% of our budget a year on like chips. Created a new budget. But I'm a swiper. I'm in there and it's like, and I watch. Because I can go into Walmart for one thing. And there are things strategically placed. That's where they put chips and chapstick. Because I need a 5-pack of chapstick. I didn't know I needed it until I saw the 5-pack cards. Ooh, we may play cards in a month. I need a deck of cards. Why? Because it's in front of me. I don't know. This is why my wife, she is the tightwad. She will not spend anything. To the detriment of our family, she won't spend money. Like, we'd be starving. There'd be only like 1 slice of bread in the house. She'd like, finish it. Right? I got 8 things open. That's how God created you. How many free spenders do I got in here? I can't walk by a box of ammo without buying it. I'm just telling you. Right? How many tightwads? But that's how we are, right? Some of it is the way that our parents taught us, right? I have a lot of spending habits the way my right? And so he learned over time. You know, to be tight with his money and served him well now. But I don't know what my deal is. I'm just a swiper. And my wife's not. But that's okay. And see, I laugh about that now, but if I look back like pre-Jesus, I spent on Copenhagen from the time I was 13 until the time I was 30-something, I'd be retired. You can't account for any of it. But there's been times with my spending habits based on my addictions or wants or needs. If you end up on my couch, it's communication, sex, money, boundaries, or parenting. And we're going through all these in a different way. Money's easy. This is the easiest thing in your marriage to fix, y'all. The hard part is me. Yes, put you, not me. I'm going to tell you, so some of y'all going into a marriage, when I do pre-marriage counseling, we talk a lot about this. Because there's a day when you can go out, or you're going to be in that unforgiveness world for a little while. I had a buddy who went out, It's not like a boat I would buy. He went and bought the boat off the boat lot. I don't even know where you buy a boat. Went and bought a brand new boat. It was awesome. Just bought it, so he took it straight to the lake, and he backed it into the lake. Needless to say, he still hadn't told his wife he bought the boat. Honey, $1,000. I think he was 15-ish grand. So I just spent 15 grand without asking. So now I owe a bass boat company $15,000 for a boat I can't use. I counseled them for a while. I give you the tools to do it, and you're not going to like it. But if you'll do it this way, you won't argue about it. There will be times when it gets tight, but if you actually do it this way, you won't fight about it. It's not my way. I didn't come up with it. There's two places I got this information. The first is called the Bible. I've gone through financial peace, and I've got some bona fide instructors of financial peace back there. And I don't do every single thing that Dave ran for our life. I would love to pay it down, and we're going to take effort to do that, but I just don't see that happening. But we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. There's a good chance we need some counseling. And you know what happens about the end of January? Is y'all get your credit card because you went out and you bought every one of your kid $300 Yeezys or Jeezys or whatever they call them. My kid. And so I'm going to go spend $300. Why? Because I need my kid. Because my level of success is that I can provide for my kid's shoes and be like, man, they got it going on at the Wilmore house. Right? But we buy things we don't need. We'll go in debt that people land on. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go buy. I actually was looking at trucks the other day, and for the first time, I can go buy a house. Well, not right now, because the market's crazy. But there was a time I could buy it out of the radio. You know why I'm going to go buy this truck? I'm going to go buy this truck that my truck does not cost $100,000. But I want to put some big wheels on it because I like that. And then I want to go sync my amps and my bass and my tweeters. And you know why? And you know what I bet all those people are thinking? Man, he's a success. Rocka. It's idiotic, people. But let's step back, right? I need a 2020 bass boat. It floats, right? Or I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy my 16-year-old a $30,000 brand. Pulls up into Northside High School, man. Scott's a success. Look at that car his kid's driving, right? With a backup camera. How you do that? But let me go out and buy her a $30,000 Beamer. Because I want to impress people. Things that they've stopped using by, March? Or that they've grown out of. And I'm not saying you can't have good taste. I've said that forever. Money's not evil. Money's a tool. Money's money. Money's whatever you make it. Money can be a good thing. It can be not. Money's not evil. It can be used for good. Satan is the root of all evil. Money's just a tool. And so this is what I prescribe to. This is a Dave Ramsey thing, and I believe wholeheartedly in this because you can't mess this up. You cannot mess this up. This is so, for me, I need something. Diets, I don't do what I want to know. I actually sent Charlie a text one day, and I said, hey, dude, how do I lose? How you, I don't know, But here's the deal. When it comes to diets are easy. Here you go. If you do this, it'll work. And if I do it exactly the way that it says to do it, it'll work. That's what I need in life. I don't need to count and measure and fraction. Stop doing it because I don't understand it. This right here is called Every Dollar Has a Name. You make a lot of money, but you make a lot of $1 bills because you get tips, right? So you'll be walking out of there with a couple $100, $300 in tips. Disappear. And the same as swiping, you can get to the end of the month. And this is mine and my wife's favorite. Oh, they have online banking. And so she just doesn't say anything until I pop a cork at the end of the month because I've got a bill that I got to pay. And I look at the bank account and I'm like, I got a $300 bill, but I only got $230. Where is all the money, babe? Because it's her fault, right? $3.20 here, $8 here, $17 here. That box of ammo there, that shirt you just had to have, that I forgot about because it's in the laundry basket now. Account went, where did that go? Right? I know a few of you are Jesus. We all have. Where'd that $100 go? But you know what you won't break? You won't buy a pack of pork skins with $100. The rest of it will disappear quickly because it doesn't have a name. So we're going to talk about every dollar has a name. Every single dollar that comes in, budget in your book. This is the dreaded B word. I'm going to make y'all go this week, sit down and do a budget, and y'all are going to homework of write down all the Bible verses, right? Because when we start talking about money, it creates tension in a marriage because you have somebody who's a more tight with their finances, and so it creates tension. And here's what really creates tension, and oh, you're not going to like me if you're one of these. Right? The two shall become one, I think is how the King James puts it. Thou shalt become one, something, I don't know. Become one in everything. Two become one in intimacy. Two become one in parenting. Two become one in finances. I am going to massively advise you, if you do not, well, they handle the electric and I handle this. It's my money. I can do what I want. Maybe y'all have set it up that way, but two become one. So now what becomes mine is I can spend my money how I. And now my marriage is all about me. My budget's all about me, the way I'm going to spend it, the way I think is best. And all of those, because two are not one, we've got a break in the system somewhere. We've got a break in the system. Two become one. Every dollar yet, you do not have to go put those together. Don't do that until you get married. And that's really going to make some of you aggravated, and you're really not going to want to come one. You need to sit down together and do a budget. Every dollar needs to have a name. Now, here's what's going to happen. My wife hates when box of ammo. It may be a shotgun shells for skeet. It may be rifle hunting ammo. It may be 22 ammo so I can shoot with my kids. If I see a box of ammo, I pick it. You need to have room in your budget to do things that you enjoy to do, or you won't stick to it. You know why I don't stick to diets? What to do diet, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to binge. Right? You know what I ate yesterday? I ate some fried Oreo cookies. I have 2 fried Oreo cookies. Eventually, I'm just going to stop the budget because it's frustrating. I can't do anything fun. I mean, what's the chips for my kids? There's nothing wrong with me buying chips for my kids. There's nothing wrong with me swiping those swipes. Neighbor, what should our budget look like? It's your budget. You get to create it however you want. I'm not about to stand up here and tell you what to spend your money on. What I am going to tell you is every dollar needs to have a name, and you've got to create room in your budget for the things you enjoy doing. This amount of dollars that she gets a month, kind of like an allowance. And I can spend it on whatever I want. I don't have to ask. I don't have to feel guilty. I don't even have to tell her. Happen days and get some fish, that's on me. I don't have to ask. She has the same thing. She does weird stuff like Ipsy. I'm not going to get mad later at the end of the month when I go, hey, we got to pay the water bill and there's not money. Oh my gosh, you went to Generations? That's all you want. Y'all have the same fights. It's different. But see, I don't have to worry about that because it creates stress. It doesn't create arguing. Every dollar has a name. So y'all are going to go this week and you're going to sit down and do a budget. There's 2 budgets in your packet. One of them, every bill you have. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to go through every bill you have. You're paying for things you might have forgotten you're paying for. It's only like $6.99. I don't catch it, right? Because it's just $6.99. And then I start doing the every year. Look at your insurance. Look at your bills. Compare, shop. I'm looking at my home. It will close the back door. When you know where every single dollar goes, you can live and not have to think about it, right? You're going to mess it up. It's not going to work. Maybe not even the first few months. Because there's going to be things that you don't take into account. You're going to see the line item for groceries, and you're going to think of how much you spend on food, but you don't take into account cleaning supplies. Change it. So for the next 3 months, you're going to sit down at the end of every month, and you're going to say, how did we do? And you're going to look at what fairly decent percentage of your budget that you don't know where it's going. And at the end of the month, that will cause, you give 10% to God, you give 10% to me, not the pastor, you, fill in me. And you give 80% in God. I have so many people use this statement, well, when I make more money, I'll give to God. That's not how it works. I'll make it more as somebody who learned the hard way. Because I'm going to be honest with you, this first part was the hardest for me, and I worked in the ministry. We worked at children's ranch. And so this is always the first thing that I would cut out. I'd be like, hey, nope, can't do that this month. And then what I found out is I started with 2%, right? I say 10% here. It's the biblical way, but I started with 2%. And you know, if you make more money, you're probably not going to save more money. If you went tomorrow and you got a raise, you would be like, man, my life is going to change now, right? I'm gonna save more money. I'm going to give to the people who win the lottery, wind up dead broke. Same concept. We swallow what we make. Won't disappear. As your lifestyle changes, the numbers may change, but when you live by the percentage, it's across the board. Because it's not about the amount that you give, it's about your honor to Him. So the Publix, Chick-fil-A, Pastors, I wanted some free street tacos. That's all I'm really thinking. Percentage for her, because savings in college. But she said your first 10%, she goes, I want to give to Save a Life. Great, good, do it. I don't care who you give it to. Do it. Well, you don't understand my bills. Yeah, sure I do. I understand that you ain't budgeted. Use what you live on. And so this is what we say, 10% to God, 10% to me. And here's why. There's going to be a day when you need saving, a day when your transmission's going to go out. There's going to come a day when you get a flat tire. And that flat tire is going to, because you don't have $100 to go buy a new tire. But if you have a savings, you get to choose. The paperwork I gave you with the budget, you get to choose your budget. If you put 10% in savings, your marriage will not. Can we just go to Orange Beach for 3 days? I need some oysters at the Floribama, and I need to count waves. There's no way, because we live. What, flat tire? Well, we don't have it in checkings. Let's pull a little from savings. But it creates a cushion. Instead of getting a $7 upside down Kappa latte, smoke a joker. As a family, we may have to have a grocery list and we may have to meal plan. And even if we're on the road and we're scattered a lot, that meal plan goes into a lunchbox, and you go to the ballpark and you eat out of mom's lunchbox or wife's lunchbox instead of the concession stand. The two biblical principles about money are honor and debt. That is brilliant. That is the most brilliant statement about money that you can ever write down. The only way to get out of debt is you've got to increase income somewhere. Go give less income to pay down some of those debts so you can get into the black. Or, and here's the easiest one to do, $100 truck payment. Which means I may have to go from a truck that cooks me omelets in the morning to a truck that doesn't even have power windows. And then you could get out of debt. But that's how you get out of debt. You increase income or you decrease spending. Proverbs 22, if you're in debt and you have massive credit card bills, your anxiety level will be high. It will be. You will argue over that. You will fight a card company. Because the majority of your money is going to a credit card company. And here's the even more frustrating thing about it, is you've used your $2,000 gas credit card bill, and I couldn't tell you a single thing I did. And now I can't do what I want to do because I do what I have to do to get you. So here's how you do it. It's called the debt snowball method. It's a debt reduction strategy in which you pay off bills. I agree with you. I'm not even going to argue with you. Should you pay off the highest debts? I got a banker sitting right back there. He'd tell you all about interest rates, right? Right? Because in the long run, I would save money. The answer to that is yes, that is correct. But the chances of you doing that, crazy ones. Let's say you got a $15,000 payment, and you got a credit card that's $1,000. I'll save more money because I'm not paying the extra interest. Correct. Not wrong. But I'm going to start hammering. We stop trying, right? That's why when people tell me they're going on a diet and they're like, I'm going to lose 50. I'm like, dude, I lost 10 pounds. Oh, my gosh, look, I got to wear a belt now, or I got to cinch it up. And you know what that makes? It makes satisfaction. And so if I'm trying to pay off this mortgage, well, yes, it's true in theory, because I can set aside a little bit each day. And so I know there's an argument here. But what you need to know psychologically is you from the cancer treatment, right? And so there's $200 ones, there's $500 ones, there's $10,000 ones. I mean, there's a gamut, right? That's $15 for the copay that I forgot my card in the truck or something. And I'm going to pay that one off. I'm getting excited because I'm successful at it. And if I got to make a payment, here's the way the debt snowball works. So let's say I got a credit one. My monthly payment's $50. I've decided I'm gonna pay this down, so I'm gonna put an extra $100 to it each month. So now my payment's $150. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the payment that you were making, because that's already in your budget, right? So I've got this other credit card, 50. Right, the original 50 and the 100 I added to it. And rather than stop that, I'm going to keep paying that because that's in my budget. That's what I put in my budget income. Take that $150 and put it to the $50 minimum payment over here. So now you're actually paying $200. In 5 months, I've now paid off 2 credit cards. I am rolling. And then when you knock those out and you start snowballing, so now I paid off my truck payment. Nah. But this is what we do naturally. You know what I could do with $200 extra a month? I go, but here's how you get out of debt. You take that $200, you roll it over. And now your $500 payment has become a $700 payment. And you know what you do? Psychologically will allow you to do it. It's called the debt. Sweet. But I think I'm supposed to be done at 7:30. So we're going to stop right there. Use it as your date night. It'll be an awesome experience. The following week, we're going to finish back up the money, and then I'm just going to tell you on expectation. And then you had kids and work and life. And so we're going to jump into that, but we're going to keep. Next week, I want a budget. And here's what I want you to do. Do not sit down and do that budget when there is tension. Like if y'all are already arguing, that will not go over well. Do the budget when you're both calm. Do the budget when you're both relaxed. You may be surprised at stuff you're spending that you're going out the back door. And then you got great date number 2. I fully expect 2 this week. I'm going to hammer date night. Hammer, hammer, hammer. You have the same amount of time. Thank you for a group of people that want to get better. God, when you start talking about money, it creates tension. When you start talking about expectations, it creates tensions. But more than anything, it will draw us closer to our spouses, which draw us closer to you. And so, God, I just pray for each and every couple within the sound of my do it your way. It can't help but get better. We give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.